This week I want to talk about something that's happened to me, which has made me very excited. But beyond that, I want to talk about things that helped me on the journey. So basically the thing that happened to me is that I got my letter that says I've passed my doctorate. It's taken a long time to get there. And it's something which has been probably definitely the proudest moment of my life in terms of my own personal achievements. But I haven't got there on my own, and that's really important, because initially I tried really hard to just go it alone, as it were. Just, yeah, I'm a bit dyslexic, I think, haven't actually had an assessment, but I've got through everything that way and just worked harder, just worked longer hours and spent longer doing things, but managed. The doctorate wasn't like that. You don't get through a doctorate if you're dyslexic without getting help. Well, I suppose you could, but I couldn't, let's put it that way. So basically, I had a supervisor, Christy Howes, who was just phenomenal. I can't praise her highly enough. What was very emotional for me is when I realised that this is what I do. I am a Senko. I support people to get the help they need and find strategies and find ways of making the work accessible for them. Nobody had actually ever done that for me. And it was only when Christy did this for me that I appreciated what I was doing for other people and what Senkos all over the country are doing for other people, and how important that job is. So what did she do? The first thing she did is she made me get an assessment. That's not actually the first thing she did. She put in support before that, but she started the process of getting me to get an assessment. She was drip feeding the nag, if you like, and always done with a smile. But she was putting strategies in place even before she had got me to get the assessment, because she could work out how I learned. So the first thing that happened is this whole business. I'm not very good at just sitting still. I'm a kinesthetic learner. I need everything. I need the audio, the visual, the lot. And what she did is, I was trying to work with the data and I was getting myself in the right tiswas. And what she did is she said, well, let's put it onto a Venn diagram. And she created this Venn diagram. And then she said, so you need that there, that there, that. And it was like, she just said, why don't you get bits of paper and move them around? And the minute she said it, it was like light bulb moment. This is what I would have done for somebody else, and yet it hadn't occurred to me to do it for myself. So, she was giving me strategies like that. She was also laughing with me, not at me. So she kept me upbeat. So I would be down and she would find a way of putting some humour in there so that I would become upbeat again. And that was really important. She kept my morale up. She also chunked things for me. So she never said, you need to do all of this. It was, why don't you just work on this today? Just this bit. Don't worry about that. You can do that later. Let's just work on this. Now again, these are strategies I give children, adults all the time, but I hadn't given them to myself. Okay, there were strategies I was using. I was using Dragon Naturally Speaking for the days when I couldn't type because the letters and words just came out as gobbledygook. So I would use a voice recognition software. I was doing stuff, allowing myself time post-its everywhere, but there were strategies I hadn't considered. Anyway, eventually she got me to have the assessment, and the assessment helped me to fully understand what I could do, what I couldn't do. And then Christy worked with me with the assessment, and that's really important. It's not every word in the assessment is going to make the difference, but there are key things that tell you how you learn, and Christy managed to pick them out. So one of the things that we started to do, and bear in mind the strategies I'm going to suggest, whilst they were brilliant for me, they don't automatically work for everyone. So everyone needs the strategies that suit the way they learn. So the first thing was to record our meetings, because what had been happening is we'd have a meeting and it would be really productive and I would make loads of notes. I'd get home and look at my notes and I'd be like, well, okay, I think that meant this. And there'd be whole chunks that I hadn't actually dealt with because I'd just forgotten them, or I'd lost the context or whatever. So having the recorded meeting meant I could go back and listen, and then as I'm going through my notes I could find the notes that went with the recording and put it all together. I could address the points I needed to address. So that was a really, really important strategy. Notes were not enough. As I said, she's made it very kinesthetic, and then what happened is Christy made it visual, or rather Christy got me to make it visual. She got me to do this poster, and in putting this poster together, which I wouldn't have done, but she said, oh, could you do me a favour? That's the other thing. She knew what bits of me to work on to get me to do something, and so doing it for her meant I would get on and do this, even though I was very, very busy. But actually putting my ideas down in a poster in a very visual format, it all clicked. I suddenly knew what I was doing. I could go ahead and do the corrections I needed to do because suddenly it made sense. So she made it visual, or rather made me make it visual. She also got me, this was for the Viva, to have the laptop in the Viva, so I wasn't sort of trawling through loads of notes, and made sure, I mean, she taught me so many simple things on the computer, just really simple ways of searching for something and finding something quickly, that actually really helped when it came to finding things for the Viva. But also I did these prompt cards, and we started big. We started with these mind maps, and they were too big for me, too much information. So I looked at the mind map and I took it apart, and I had all these little playing cards, blank playing cards, and each one had just a few key words on it. And then I was struggling with finding the right cards, and it was just very simple. Colour code your post-its, so different topics, different chapters will be different colours, and just one word on each post-it, those little arrowy post-its, and so I could very quickly find the card I needed for the strategy. She then taught me to not apologise, and that was a really big deal. I'm always going, oh, I'm sorry, I'm stupid, I can't do that. She said, stop. When you're asked something and you need time to process the information, you repeat the question, you sort yourself out, and then, because by then the question's gone, you say, could you repeat the question, please? They repeat the question, thank you, and then you get on and give your answer. But it's not apologising, oh, I'm sorry, taking away the apology. I have nothing to apologise for, that's just how my brain works. So taking away the apology brought me the time and the calm to process the information and find my answer. So the other thing is, she gave me incredible feedback. Now I try to do this for my students, prompt feedback and thorough feedback. I've had people in the past who have given me one-word feedback. You know, line under something, what? I don't know, you tell me what. I don't have a clue why you've underlined it. You know, or lines through something. I don't know why that was struck through. What was good or bad about it? Let me know. So her feedback was always understandable, always to the point. So I could actually, it was not too wordy, it was really concise, and I was allowed to question the feedback. You know, I was empowered. And, you know, Christy Howell's amazing. If any of you are ever doing anything where you get a chance to be supervised by her, go for it. She is amazing. But it was, as I say, none of these are things I didn't know. These are all strategies that I've given to so many people over the years. But doing it for me was something I hadn't necessarily always thought of. Now, the other important thing is to realise there's nothing wrong with asking for help. That's success. That is the brave thing to do. The resilience was there. I'm used to knockdowns. I'm used to being knocked back and getting something wrong and having another go, having another go, having another go till I get it right. That's been the story of my life. But I've always done it alone. I've always found my own strategies. Apart from I had a headmaster a few years back who used to proofread all my work, and that was a help. He would proofread anything I went home just to double check it for me. But apart from that, I've just got on with it. And having somebody there who gets you and who gives you that support, that's worth so much. So I would recommend strongly that if you think you have a special learning need of any sort, find help, ask for help, and don't be afraid to ask for help, because it really is worth it. I tell you, getting this doctorate has blown me away. It's absolutely fantastic. Thank you.